Alrighty, so boy, do we have a lot to talk about, or what? But before we do, I'd like to say off the bat, if you'd like to hear more on this topic, go check out the Kick Six podcast on YouTube. Also, you can go check out the Instagram page. Me and my friend Dylan Lowe, we both had our own individual channels, and we decided, hey, let's start a podcast. So me and him both co-host that podcast together. We already covered 50, we already covered 100 through 50. This upcoming Wednesday, we will be covering 50 through 1. So, do us a favor if you could go check that out. Let us know what you think. I know we would both greatly appreciate it. As well, go check out his channel. It's just Dylan Lowe. Should be easy enough to find. So, if I remember, I'll put the link in the description for all of it if I can. So, moving on. Second thing before we get into what we're going to talk about. So, I'm recording on some new equipment and whatnot. For whatever reason, you can't hear, as far as the video wise, in the left side of the headphones. I have no clue why. I've tried out a bunch of different things. Probably need to read the manual again, but who knows. So, hopefully, you don't have any problems with that like I have in the past couple test runs, but we'll see. But anyway, so let's get into this top 100 list. And for today's purposes of not sitting here for 3 hours talking about this, excuse me, I'm going to do just the top five and give my thoughts on if they belong in the top five, where they should be slated in the top five. So let's get into it. At number five, Michael Thomas. Now, according to what I'm told, this is ranked by the players, and from what I hear, because I have a lot of questions about this list, from what I hear, it's not just based off of this past season. It's combining everything in general, including the past season, obviously. But from what I hear, it's taking in account of everything. So, at number five, they have Michael Thomas, and they have him ranked as the best receiver in the NFL. This is absolutely stupid. It's idiotic. It's dumb. And frankly, it's because Michael Thomas would be crying on Twitter if he wasn't. Because Michael Thomas is a baby, and I am an Ohio State fan. Michael Thomas is a baby. Um, and it's not like he's going to see this, but it's just the truth. In all reality, Michael Thomas is maybe the fourth or fifth best receiver in the NFL. Okay? Julio, Hopkins, Devontae Adams, they're better. They're better. And I can make arguments for other guys as well being better than Michael Thomas. And I'm not going to make the argument of if he didn't have Drew Brees, because I don't think that's a fair argument. You can say that about almost everybody. You can say that about Tyreek Hill. If he didn't have Patrick Mahomes. So I'm not going to get into that. But in my opinion, Michael Thomas is bottom five, 4 or 5, as far as best in the league. And I think 4 is the perfect spot for him. Um, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. He should not be ranked a 99 Madden. He should not be ranked the number one receiver on this list. It's because he's a baby, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows if he wasn't, he'd be crying on Twitter. He'd be complaining nonstop. And that's not to say he's not a good player, because he is. He absolutely is a great player. But he's not number one. He's just not. And if you disagree, then either you're just a die-hard Ohio State fan and you don't watch the NFL other than what you're told or highlights, or you're just a Saints fan, or you're just an idiot. Because um, it. I don't want to get into it more because I could sit here all day and talk about it. But Michael Thomas is not the best receiver in the league. And as I said, that doesn't mean he's not good, because he is a good player. He's a great player. He's not the best receiver. So, number five, who I would probably put there, they have listed Christian McCaffrey at 6. I'd probably flip. I'd put McCaffrey at 5 or higher based on this list. I'm not going to go through the whole list and have it as I would, because that'd take forever. But just for purposes of where they have them slotted, Christian McCaffrey's better than Michael Thomas. Um, just from an impact standpoint. So how I look at that is if you took McCaffrey off of the Panthers and you took Michael Thomas off the Saints, the Panthers would be in much bigger trouble. And yes, that's a stupid argument, but just for the sake of the argument, let's use that. At number 4, Patrick Mahomes. This is might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life because based on what I've heard about these lists, this is taking in account not just this past season. This is looking at the big picture. So, in other words, you should look at the past season, season before that, this season, and look at the production standpoint and everything in general, and then rank them. That's kind of how I understood it from what I'm hearing. Patrick Mahomes at number 4 is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. He's the face of the NFL. The man is, I believe, third year starting, and he's already got an MVP. He's got a Super Bowl. He's got a Super Bowl MVP, putting up tremendous numbers. He's like fantastic. He's the face of the NFL. You have two other quarterbacks in front of him. This is the stupidest list I've ever seen in my life. Patrick Mahomes should be number 1 on every list almost every year of his career. And that's just how it is. You can't watch Patrick Mahomes and deny how good he is. Yes, he is ranked high at 4. The people they have in front of him are not bad players. They're not better than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. Hands down, no argument. I don't care what you say. So, anyway, number 3 is Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was number 1 on this list last season. So, he slipped to 3. I personally believe he should be 2. And, Aaron Donald, other than Patrick Mahomes, is probably the best player in the NFL, other than Mahomes. Because when you look at the game changer aspect, I know people like Skip Bayless like to argue that he's not consistent enough or whatever. Every game I've seen of Aaron Donald, he's dominating and you can't stop him. So, like I said, outside of Patrick Mahomes, he's probably the best player in the NFL. So, number 2 is Russell Wilson. I love Russell Wilson. I think he's a fantastic player. He's been overshadowed just because of what they've done in Seattle since the Super Bowls. They've not put him in a great position just from like a weapon standpoint, offensive line standpoint, and they've still been successful because of Russell Wilson. He's the second best quarterback in the NFL. Mahomes is number 1, Wilson is number 2. But as far as this list goes, I personally believe Aaron Donald should be over Wilson just because I think Aaron Donald is, from a dominant standpoint, like Russell Wilson is consistent. He's a very consistent player as far as what he does best, whereas Aaron Donald is just a game wrecker. And there's a difference between being consistent at a high level versus just completely destroying a game. So that's why I would have Aaron Donald number 2. So, all right. Let me pull this up. So, I get labeled a lot of times as a Lamar Jackson hater. I'm not a Lamar Jackson hater. I actually was very happy that he got taken as high as he did because I think from a athletic standpoint, he's a fantastic athlete. I love Lamar Jackson as far as like that goes. I watched him all the time in college. He's a very exciting player. But, it's hard to explain because, if you say anything negative about somebody, you're automatically labeled a hater. Here's what I want to get into. Lamar Jackson's not the best player in the NFL. He's just not. This is 1,000% recency biased. And yes, Mahomes was injured, and I get it. But when you have one guy who is, comes off of an injury, gets to the playoffs. I believe every playoff game was a come from behind win, if I'm not mistaken. Gets to the Super Bowl, wins the Super Bowl from behind, wins Super Bowl MVP, and then you have a guy who, I'm just going to say it, he's not a good thrower. He's not, you know. Um, I'll wait to get into the stats because I have looked it up and done my research as far as the stats standpoint. But when you have a guy who does that, and then you have a guy who has a great regular season, teams can't stop him, crazy rushing yards, his passing, like the completions and touchdowns are very good. And I'll get into why I don't think he's a good thrower, because the numbers are a little bit deceiving. But when you have a guy who, throughout the regular season, is great, gets to the playoffs for the second year now, and sucks, like, I'm sorry, it was bad. Um, why? How? Like, I don't get how NFL players don't see what's going on here. Like, Patrick Mahomes has to come from behind and win after getting hurt in the regular season. Now, he didn't have, like, the greatest regular season compared to, like, years before, but it's not like he was bad. And he goes and wins a Super Bowl and MVP, or not MVP, but Super Bowl MVP. Lamar Jackson is unstoppable in the regular season, gets to the playoffs and stinks it up yet again, wins MVP, and meanwhile Mahomes is doing stuff that actually matters, and that doesn't matter. Like, this list is so dumb. So anyway, let me get into my Lamar, my reasoning for Lamar. Let me just get this out first. Lamar Jackson is a great football player. Okay, he's a great athlete. He's a great player in general. But when it comes to passing the football, he can throw. Like, he can throw a rocket. Like, he can throw deep. He's got the arm strength. My problem with Lamar Jackson is if you sat back and put him in an offense where you have to throw the ball more than you run, and he has to sit back in the pocket and actually pick defenses apart, he can't do it. He can't do it consistently. And yes, I know people, well, how about the stats? He won MVP. Oh, you're wrong. Okay, this is my reasoning. Lamar Jackson ranked 26th in pass attempts. All quarterbacks behind him were either injured or were out a few games. So, what does that mean? Essentially, he was last in pass attempts. Because, if you figure the quarterbacks behind him were out or were injured or whatnot, they don't throw the ball a lot. That's just we can talk about this many different ways. The Baltimore Ravens do not pass the football a lot at all. Their offense is entirely RPO. Any passing they do is basically to a tight end, or it's a cross over the middle, like a 10-yard pass, 10, 15-yard pass. They don't throw. Like, I don't get people who don't understand the game would just say, well, look, he's successful. Yeah, of course he is. He can juke out anybody. He's faster than almost anybody. But the system matters. Like, I hate saying that certain guys are system quarterbacks, but if you put Lamar Jackson on almost any other team and say, hey, run this offense, that's not what the Ravens offense is now. He's a terrible player. Like, if you make him sit back and pass more than the run game, it's awful. And people, call me a hater. I don't care. It's the truth. When you're 26th in pass attempts, you don't throw. I don't know how else to put that. You don't throw. And, okay, so he ranked 9th in completion percentage. So what does that tell you? Number one, they don't throw. based off of the pass attempts, last in the league, other than the guys who were hurt or were out for whatever reason. Um, so you're ninth in completion percentage. Great, that's awesome. But guess what? Teams aren't facing Lamar Jackson afraid of his passing game. I'm a Browns fan. My best friend's a Steelers fan. I asked him the same thing. What do you agree with this? Like, I don't understand this Lamar hype. Like, he can't throw. He said the exact same thing. So it's not like he's not good, because he is, of course. Whenever I have a heart attack, whenever he gets out of the pocket scrambling, that's where teams fear Lamar Jackson. They don't fear him passing the ball. Are you kidding me? DBs love facing Lamar Jackson because they barely have to do anything. But anyway, so um, he ranked 33rd in passing yards. This is from this past season. 33rd in passing yards. And when I wrote all this down, it was a while ago, so I should probably recheck all this. But assuming I got this from ESPN, or no, I got this from Pro Football Focus. I don't know. Anyway, but this is from this past season. 33rd in passing yards. What does that tell you? When you do pass the ball, you're 26th in your pass attempts. You're 9th in completions. So you're completing the passes you are throwing. You're 33rd ranked in passing yards. So you're saying when you combine all that up, you don't hardly pass at all. When you do pass, you're efficient. And in passing yards, you're 33rd. That means it's all short for the most part. It's all short. So I don't know how else to explain it, because the first thing people will do when you talk about this is they'll go watch his highlights. Okay, yeah, when he does pass the ball, he can hit a wide open receiver. Congratulations. You're an NFL quarterback. You should be able to do that. Um, anyway, he ranked 23rd in rushing attempts. This is combining with starting running backs. There's 32 teams. He ranked 23rd. So if you people call him a running back, I'm not saying he's a running back. I'm saying he basically plays wildcat. For people who understand what that means, it's basically somebody who fills the position as quarterback but doesn't throw. He's basically playing wildcat, except he passes maybe, I don't know, 14, 15 times a game max. So 23rd in rushing attempts. There's 32 starting running backs, and he's ranked 23rd. Statistically, that says you're pretty good at running. And if you don't pass the ball a lot, like people who say he's a running back, there's, I don't want to get into it completely, but anyway, 6th in rushing yards. So when he does rush, he's some of the best. 6th in rushing yards. So out of 32 running backs, or as far as starting running backs, he's 6th in rushing yards as a quarterback. What does that mean? He's a great runner with the football in his hands. Mark Ingram ranked 14th in rushing yards, 20th in attempts. So when Lamar Jackson is ranked 23rd in rushing attempts and Mark Ingram is ranked 20th in attempts, they run the freaking ball. Like, I don't know how to say this. They run the ball 24/7. They run the ball. And when they do throw, it's short stuff or it's a tight end pass and he's wide open. Like, Lamar Jackson being ranked number 1 on this list is stupid. It's stupid. If you said to any franchise in the NFL, 32 franchises, you get to restart your franchise. Pick any quarterback you want. I don't know of a single one that would pick Lamar Jackson other than maybe the Ravens, just because why not? Like, me personally, I'm picking Deshaun Watson over Lamar Jackson. Deshaun Watson is not the same athlete, but he's a very good athlete. He can't do the same thing, with his feet that Lamar can, but he can throw way better. I'm picking Kyler Murray over Lamar Jackson. Kyler Murray can throw way better. It's not even close. And with his feet, can do great things. Not the same as Lamar Jackson, but this is what I'm talking about. Like, this Lamar Jackson hype train is completely off the rails. And if you can't see this, I'm not saying you can't say he's a great player, of course he is. I'm saying the same thing. But if you can't watch a game and understand, number one, the type of offense they're running, number two, look at the players they have rushing the football. Mark Ingram's a stud. And now, now they have J.K. Dobbins. I don't know what else you need to hear. So, this list is stupid. This list is stupid. And I'm surprised Madden didn't have him as a 99. Because if you put Michael Thomas as a 99, he's nowhere near the best receiver in the NFL. Not nowhere near, but he's up there, but he's not the best receiver. I mean, there's 3-4 guys better than him. I'm surprised they didn't just put Lamar, because apparently in this world, everybody thinks Lamar Jackson can pass better than Tom Brady ever could and runs better than Michael Vick. Like, I don't understand this whole argument. I never have and I never will. And I'm not saying Lamar can't get better. He's made vast improvements in his passing game. But to act like he's right there already, like, no, he's not. Sorry. So, yeah, people are going to say I'm just hating on him. I really don't care. I mean, you look at the rushing stats, you look at the completion attempts. That's all I ask. Go watch the Ravens. Go watch a full game. See how many times they pass. Okay? All I'm saying is if he was in an offense where he was forced to pass, he'd suck. And yes, they don't run that style of offense for a reason. Because this offense is the only offense he can be in. It's literally the only offense he can be in to be successful. And I'll argue that till he proves me otherwise. So it's that simple. Like I said, we'll get into the rest of the list, 50 through 1, on the podcast Wednesday. So stay tuned. Go check that out. And I will see you in the next video.